Good afternoon, everyone. Hope we're all refreshed after lunch and all coffeeed up. Yeah, as you can see from the first slide, what I'll be running through today is actually some techniques and tools to get your app out there and noticed. Some of you will probably already know these techniques, so I guess it's kind of a bit more of a reminder. And some of you may not be familiar with some of the techniques, so you can take them away straight after the presentation, or you can just study them straight after, because we know that the market is very crowded. Gartner estimates there's going to be 100 billion apps downloaded in 2013, 930,000 iPhone apps, 870,000 Android apps. Windows is around about the 100,000 mark, and BlackBerry probably about 120. So it's a very busy place. There's 33,000 unique health applications on the market as well. Now that figure itself can be a little bit debatable. I've seen 97,000 before. But the fact is, there's a lot of applications out there. So what you need to decide is, if you do have an application, or you're thinking of having an application launched, where does your app feature in all of this? And me personally, when I'm speaking with my clients, I don't think the topic of discovery is often discussed enough. Sometimes it's not even discussed at all, which is a bit of a shame. There needs to be a clear business model presented before you even start development, before you even start to speak to developers. So have a clear business case planned out. Now, a presentation of mine wouldn't be a presentation without my favourite team lifting up the trophy. That's not going to happen for many years. But great, we've developed an application. Fantastic. Well done. If you have developed an application in the crowd, you know, hats off to you, because I know it's a very, very stressful process. Late nights, milestones changing, things happening. So all credit to you. And I think once you've developed an app, the questions really are, well, how many people have downloaded it? Some people might think, well, I don't know. What are people doing with the application? What's the entry rate? What's the exit rate? Not sure. Okay, well, what's the error reporting like on the application? No idea. And when are you going to report it to your bosses? And that person quickly runs away and we never see them again. So these are the questions that you need to probably ask yourself even before you create the brief of your application. Or if you're in mid-development, step back and just think about those questions. And the process for me is really important. This is our process. We're quite a lean company. We go through an agile development process and we break everything up in steps, and we go through from one step, sign, move, one step, sign, move. The presentation today is talking about this process. Now, in my process, which is an agile process, you know, we stop here. Before we launch at Goldmaster stage, we stop and we say, let's look at deployment. What are we thinking about? What's the key messages for your application? Now, that can be a native application on Android, iOS. It can be a web application. It could even be just actually, it could even be a website. So we'll talk about actually the launch strategies involved. And this bit here can take up quite a bit of time, in fact. And I think it's not just about marketing spend. It's more wide-reaching than that. You've got to involve every single stakeholder on the project to help you launch and help people to discover the application. And in my experience, when we're starting early on a strategy for mobile, I do think it becomes overwhelmed with technology. It's too much about what the technology can do. When, you know, technology can start a project, actually technology can end a project. So I think the key message for that particular slide is forget about the technology, because when we start projects, we don't even think about it. We think about what's the key objective, what we're trying to achieve from our application, and that's going to help our marketing strategy later on. But I also think, other than just putting technology to one side, I think we probably need to change our mindset slightly with mobile application development in the healthcare sector. You know, patients are our customers, clinicians are our customers, internal employees, management are our customers. You know, a mobile application is a product, and we should market it exactly like that. Let's not think of it as a piece of software that we're just going to put out there and expect people to use and everything's going to be great. It's a product. And I think a change of mindset, what we demand from retail and banking, you know, we should be demanding that from mobile healthcare too. And it's no different than walking down an aisle in a supermarket. You know, this is the App Store. I'm a customer, I've entered the App Store, there's products left and right, and there's an app on the left, there's an app on the right. What's important to me might not be important to the next customer behind. So how do we actually adapt our marketing strategy and our message? Because for me, the App Store is very much no different. And in a recent survey, just conducted actually a couple of days ago in a mobile application summit in Los Angeles, it turned out that 40% of companies made no money whatsoever from their last application. Now, I totally understand that revenue is not the key driver for mobile application. It's just one of the many metrics. But that's quite a high figure. So why have they not made any money? That is not a slide of me when I was younger. That's just off Google Images. So why? And what they cited in that survey, and this is really interesting, what they cited was that discoverability is a major problem for their business plan. Okay, now, again, doesn't matter if your application is free, it's paid, in-app purchase, brand, doesn't matter what it is, you have to have a business plan. And they cited that there's lots of poor quality apps. That's making it really hard for us to market our application because it's in amongst lots of applications that are very poor. There's very high expectations from free apps. I'm one of those users. If it's free, I expect it to work as if I've paid $1.99. So I'm definitely one of those users. Lots of app stores. Very overpopulated, very overcrowded. Device fragmentation was a key problem. That's difficult for our marketing message. The last count I made, there was 900 different Android screens. So we ask ourselves, are we actually going to be targeting all of those? What OS are we going to be targeting? So discoverability was a key problem for them. And they actually, what these companies were saying was that they were putting promotion high on their agenda. They were pushing it as much as they could do. And if you look on this chart here, user acquisition and retention actually came above UI design, and it came above data security and privacy. Now, I think in healthcare, that's probably skewed a little bit, to be fair. These are probably at the top. But we should be thinking like this. We should be thinking that user acquisition and retention is part of our strategy. Don't just launch the application, because otherwise you're not going to get any users visiting that. So we've talked about the 40% of people who aren't making anything. But hold on a minute, what about the rest of the people? So there's a key figure. It's 60%. They must be doing something right. What are they doing? So what can we learn from them? Well, they're doing grassroots PR, are they doing app store optimization? Are they talking to newspapers, magazines? They must be doing something right. And I think one of the key messages about doing something right, and I'll take this quote from a great book that helped me when I started my company by Jim Collins. It's called From Good to Great. And what he said, and this got me sort of thinking when I was doing this presentation, what he said was that all good companies respond to their communities. So I was thinking, well, it's the same as the application, surely. When we're building an application, what we're trying to do is build a community. And we're trying to establish a relationship. We're trying to earn some kind of two-way communication with our customers. And again, I think we just need to think slightly differently. It's not a bit of software. It's not a bit of technology. This is a product. So let's actually put some time and effort into building a really great product. So process, I mentioned earlier, got to start early. You've got to start right at the very top. Because if you're going to invest in some marketing budget, or if you're going to invest in some time, that has a cost, then make sure you've got it in your business plan. And if you're struggling with a business plan, and I'm sure many of you aren't, there's a really great tool that you can use. Can't really see it here. It's called the Business Canvas. Fantastic tool. This will be on SlideShare, by the way, this presentation, where you put all your ideas on a canvas and it actually lays them out stage by stage from start to finish, and it's free. I've used that when I set up my company. It was absolutely fantastic. So that's just a quick tool. So we must also, before we start investing some time and effort, what have we got already? So we're getting ready to launch our application. What can we look at? What do we have? What assets do we have that we can look at? I think the first one, totally free, it's your data, is go into Google Analytics for your particular site. Doesn't matter if it's app related at the moment, and just have a look at some of the stats. This bit of research we pulled out was for the NHS.UK website. The first 7 months of this year, there's 195 million visits to the site. That's pretty expected. 99 million came from a smartphone. Okay, they're very high level figures. But then when you look more granular detail, you look at the top referring keywords to the website. And if I'm starting a campaign, are some of those keywords actually referring traffic to my website? If they are, then let's use that as a marketing tool, like norovirus. Sorry, I know this because I've got children and they've had it. Let's say we're creating an application about the education of norovirus and how to treat it, what are the conditions, diagnosis, early treatment. Well, we know that 266,000 people are visiting the NHS website. Let's do something about it. Let's actually look at what the device fragmentation is for that keyword. And you can do that. It's free in Google Analytics. You go in and you can create your own filters. So that's just a bit of free information. So 7 tools I'll give you, just 7. I think it's probably about enough time as I've got. First one, goes without saying, if you're going to get your app out there, develop a great app. And you know, there's probably more bad apps than there are good apps. That's definitely for sure. So I know we talked about this probably yesterday and it's come up today. You know, user experience. Make sure you're nailing what we call the MVP. You know, what is the minimal viable product we need to get out to meet the core objective. Forget about all the nice transitions and the animations and the great stuff. What do we need to do to meet the objective? And with user experience, a frightening figure really is that, you know, over a third of organizations have a poor understanding of actually what a mobile user experience is all about. Now that's incredible, absolutely incredible, because mobile is ubiquitous. It's a personal device. We look at it over 100 times a day. It's with us in the morning, it's with us at night time. So not understanding mobile experience is, well, yeah, it's a bit of a strange one for me. You can create a target profile, a prospect profile. If you want me to send a template that we use, I can email it to you. You know, who is that person you are trying to reach? What do they look like? Where are they? What do they do? Who are they? What are they using in the past? I can send you a free template if you just drop me an email. And is the application actually solving a problem? Most applications don't. Most applications are there just because they're there. And that's a totally pointless exercise. So first point is develop a great application. The second point, got to be clear on the metrics. If you're getting an app out there and it's successful and you want it to be successful, then what exactly are you going to be measuring? Now, I've put a few points on here for the metrics. The list can go on and on and on. Are we looking at early diagnosis? Are we looking at readmission rates? Are we looking at seasonal trends, condition awareness, brand growth? Is it revenue? Is it in-app purchases? Is it an ROI? Now, I hear this quite often from an ROI perspective. We're not doing it for the money. Okay, totally get that, not a problem. So what are you doing it for? Commonly, we're trying to save money somewhere in the process. Great. So how much are you investing to do that? 10 grand, okay? So how are you going to measure it? Not sure. So even though you're not doing it for cash, you know, apps don't cost $0 to develop. So, you know, there has to be a plan in place to measure the ROI. But if you've got a great product, you've got clear metrics, but you don't have any of these, which is eyeballs, not quite literally. If you don't have any people looking at your application, they don't know where it is, what it is, where to find it, it's a meaningless exercise. So I think actually getting your app noticed can seem like a bit of a minefield to some people. If you just look at the amount of companies there are, this is just, I mean, there's hundreds. App&See, great agency in the States, but I mean, there's loads of agencies you can choose to try and launch your app, when in fact, in some cases, you know, you can do it yourself, a relatively small amount of budget. It can also seem like a bit of a leap of faith. This is what one customer told me, actually. You know, jumping out of a spaceship, not actually knowing what's going to happen, and I sort of get that. But I think we should start with some basics, which comes on to my third point out of the 7, which is the value proposition. Now, I'm staggered when we start development projects and I say, well, what's a value? Tell me the value proposition. You know, a 30-second value proposition, what is it? And, you know, they stutter and they don't quite understand it. So And I think many value propositions for an application, if you're going to get it out there, it needs to be really strong. It's too much focus on the what. What is it going to do? What are the features? What's the platform? Means absolutely nothing to me. If you focus more on what, you just get an endless stream of faster, better, cheaper, and that doesn't stick. So we should, when we're creating our value proposition for the application, we should really focus on why. That resonates with users. That's a powerful marketing message. And why are we doing it? Why is it going to benefit you? And you can build your value proposition around this, and you can build your marketing message around this as well. And if you ever have 20 minutes spare this week, the best 20 minutes you spend is look at the talk from Simon Sinek on TED. Again, this will be on SlideShare. Fantastic presentation on why we should actually have a value proposition in business and in organizations of focusing on the why. And I think also this is a telephone. Some of us don't use it very often. What you do is, this is amazing, great piece of technology. You pick up the handset and you dial a number and you speak to someone. So forget about emails. I'm not a big fan of emails. Pick up the phone. So you've got a great product, you've got metrics, you've got a really strong value proposition, and go test it out. Go and phone some news articles, some magazines, other departments, other patients, other professionals. Give them a ring, test the value proposition out. You'd be surprised actually, you can get some quite good data back from that. So getting involved in getting your app out there is key. Now my developers, when we're developing, they're sat down, they've got their heads down coding. And what I do with them is that I get them to actually step out of their office and get them involved in the whole strategy. And they feel energized by that. So get out of the engine room and get onto the bridge, which is the best piece of advice I've ever been given. And that's so true with trying to market your application. Have a look at what's happening around you. What environment are you in? And how can we best take advantage of that? Which brings me on to point number 4, which is taking advantage of the App Store. Now, this is for native applications, so Android and Apple, for example. If we look at this statistic here, discovery methods by consumers, it's not very clear, you probably can't see it, 63% of users find an application by browsing the App Store, so, which is quite a high figure. So why is it then that only 60% of the apps in the App Store have never been downloaded? And there's a lot of applications. I think the key to that is that they're not probably optimizing their listing. And there's an acronym, and there's far too many acronyms in the industry for my liking, but App Store optimization. And you can do this. It takes you 10 minutes to do, honestly. It's so quick. Because when you look at App Store rankings itself, they're algorithmic. It's just like Google search engine. There are calculations in place that actually rank and move around your application. So let's use it, because it's not going to cost us anything to actually try and game this algorithm. So conduct some keyword research. And what I mean by keyword research is go in the App Store. If you've got an app developed or you're developing one, what are the keywords? Who's appearing? What's their description like? And try and optimize it against them. Use keyword tools like Ubersuggest, Identify. They're brilliant keyword tools. Google has its own keyword tool as well, which you can put in yourself. It doesn't cost you anything. I don't know if you know this, but Google Play now takes page authority into account, right? So this is Google, search engines, pretty obvious where they're trying to move into, and that's the mobile space. They have been doing that for quite some time. So you can now link build, if you understand that, you can now link build from an SEO point of view to your listing on Google Play, which means that when someone's in the search engine, they're going to be discovering your application because you're linking it into your Google Play account. So my tips, when you're optimizing your app on the App Store, build a page that's visually appealing. I see far too many App Store entries with just one screen, just one image, and I'm not going to download it. Put all the images on. For Google Play, you can have embedded YouTube videos. Spend some time creating a video, a walkthrough of your application, because that's what's going to make people to download it. And make sure it's visually appealing. With Apple, there's all these categories, and you only get 100 characters for your keywords, so you've got to be absolutely bang on with the keywords. Don't repeat the category name, because Apple will already include it in their algorithm. So that's probably going to save you maybe 13, 14 characters. That's 2 keywords. Use singular form keywords when you're optimizing your listing on the App Store. So if your app it uses the word tour, don't put in tours, because Apple will already include the original word and try and provide plurals around it. Don't use long tail keywords. You know, how many people go on the App Store and type in a really long, I'd like an app for my blood pressure? Has anyone done that? No. So don't do it. Avoid it. Just use quick snipped keywords and keep your description clear and concise and above the fold, which is a great piece of advice. So we've got great value proposition, we've got some metrics in place, we've optimized our App Store listing. You know, if you do anything again the next month or two, you've got an app, just spend a bit of time on this. So we've got up to that point, but suddenly something happens. You know, we come up against something, you know, shock, horror. What's going to happen? 90% of applications are actually downloaded once and then deleted immediately, which is a frightening statistic for anyone involved in the project. Definitely keep people awake. You don't want to be part of these statistics, but I think it's important that I just share them with you, because if you look at applications at the moment, this was a survey done by eConsultancy and IBM. 62% encountered a problem, and here it says the mobile app crashed on startup. You know, that's just shocking. It should never happen. So something's gone wrong in the process. If you've got a strong marketing message and a value proposition, and I open up the application and it crashes, then I'm not going to link my efforts back to your brand, because already you've proven that it's not correct. So that's a real problem, and 79% will only try an app once if it's failed first time. So when you get an app out there, understand your audience. You know, we're quite aggressive in terms of what we want from our application. So if we're going to start driving traffic to your app, then we need to probably think about having a look at digital marketing. I think we all know what digital marketing is, or at least we've got a very basic concept of it. I talked about the telephone earlier. The telephone actually is a very good use of blogger outreach, online PR. Pick up the phone. If your application is targeted at a certain demographic, a certain category, let's say it's diabetes, for example, do a search for diabetes blogs, get on the phone, give them a ring. I've got this great application. I'll send you a code to download it. Can you just feature it? Get a link back to your website, build up authority, and everything's good. And seriously, it really is that easy to do. Source and contact relevant journalists. There are some discovery publisher programs that you can join. Might help. UAPI and API, which we've used API. So you know, these tend to work. Then we look at SEO, organic. SEO isn't just for websites, okay? It is for mobile applications as well. 16% of people find an app through the web. So why not create a website for your application? I have seen applications whereby they have created a website with just an image and some text. It's just totally pointless. You know, put an FAQ on there, put a feedback section. You know, make it engaging and interactive. And you can acquire natural links back to this. And in a recent announcement, over the last couple of days actually, Google have announced with Android 4.4, they've launched what's called app indexing, which means that mobile application tags and schema data now appears in search engine results, or SERPs, just like it would if you were searching for a website. So if you're thinking of launching an Android app, then make sure you sign up to the developers for app indexing. Some free tools. Apple will give you a link builder. Use that if you want to get your app out there. The smart app banners. How many people don't use that? It's unbelievable. It's a free tool. So when you type in Parkinson's app, what it comes up on the search is that the application's there. You tap to download. Dead simple. Great user acquisition method. App Store short links. Stick it on your email signature. Use Apple's App Store short links. Takes you straight to the App Store for them to download it. You know, it takes 2 minutes to do, and I just don't see it. I just don't see it happening. Google AdWords, whether we like paid ads or not, you must deploy this as part of your campaign at some point. They've changed their methods for mobile campaigns. It's instant. You can have click to download, like I've said already. Keywords will trigger your advertisements. You can target geographically as well. So definitely deploy that. Facebook, like it or loathe it, at 145 million app installs this year alone from Facebook. That might not be your target market, but I would definitely recommend trying to run a few ads. It's not going to cost you that much, to be fair. The cost per click's fairly low, depending on the competitive nature. Go in, it takes you 10 minutes to set up an ad, test it, see what it's like, reiterate. Number 6, sorry, because I know we're getting short on time, measure and track. Lots of data out there, lots of noise. Do we know who we're going to report to? Probably not. So you need to know more about users, how they found your app, the types of devices, return rates to the application. These are the companies that can help you to do that. Let's stick with Google Mobile App Analytics. Because what you can do is you can actually link your analytics account so you can see what users are doing inside your application. Great metrics, great measurement, and it's called Google Play Referral Flow. You'll need a developer to integrate the SDK into your app, but I suggest that you put that in if you have an Android application, because it looks like this. So it looks like, and if you're looking at Blogger Outreach and all the other campaigns in SEO, we can see that here the application has come in from organic search on Google. It's come through. There's been some other referrals. We've got some Play Store views, installs, and we've got 283 new users. Great metrics to see if your application is actually working or not and getting it out there. So that's a free tool. Doesn't cost you anything to do. It's a bit of time. It's not going to cost you anything. SDKs are also available. And I think the very last point, because we're actually just about running out now, this obviously is Mo Farah. This didn't really happen, but I would say, don't stop. Keep on going. Keep the momentum running with your marketing strategy for your app. It's not a piece of software. It's a product, and you need to treat it that way. Make sure you've got a framework in place. So once we've driven all the traffic to you, who's going to answer the queries? Seriously, that's a common problem. So there we go. So that's the 7 key points for developing your app and getting it out there. Thank you very much. Thank you.